Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we are going to be reinstalling my Exetti triple disc, getting it back onto the motor, and trying to get the first startup. I shouldn't say first startup, it's like the 10th startup at this point. But get this thing running again today. Well, if you guys just saw the flywheel, as I was putting this clutch back on, I was wondering why something did not feel right, and that is because I do not have a pilot bearing on the flywheel. I do not know how this car has even driven without one. A lot of unknowns, but that is going to be our root cause of why this transmission clutch is locking us out of these gears. So thankfully, I do have my OEM one. This has very few miles. I'm trying to get this put back together tonight. I do not want to wait for a new one to come. So I just threw this in the freezer, shrinks it up so it makes it a little bit easier to put it into the flywheel. But here is the root cause. Well, as we're getting this clutch put back on, and as I was going to put the last bolt in, I was not able to find it. I had everything placed on this chair, and it's not my chair, it's my buddy Cody's, and he ended up using it and set my stuff aside. Thought he placed everything back on, and one of my bolts is now missing. I've looked everywhere in the shop. It does not help. It is a horrendous nightmare. There's so much garbage everywhere. The shop is in desperate need of cleaning, but I am not able to find this last bolt anywhere. I spent probably an hour looking for this with Bo's help. No luck finding it, so unfortunately, I do have to overnight some more flywheel bolts. I know I can go to like the store and try to match one and make one. I just don't really want to do that. I don't really feel comfortable doing that, so I'm just going to overnight some from Exetti and hopefully it gets here really soon so we can throw this back in the car. Because now we found the issue, so it should have no issue driving now unless I did damage something in the trans. Hopefully not. This didn't get that many miles on the street, but you never know, and especially with my luck, something could have went wrong. So that is going to either end the video here, or I will be picking this up once we get the new part in. Alright, it is now the next day. Yesterday, we were trying to get this clutch put back on, and then somehow I was missing one of my bolts. It got misplaced somewhere in the shop. I was not able to find it. So I was trying to do some research to see if Exetti sold just the pressure plate bolts, and I was not able to find anything. And then it occurred to me I should go try our local Ace hardware store to see if they had a bolt. And they did. This is the bolt I took off the pressure plate so I could bring it in to see if I can find something at least close enough. And then I came across this bolt, and they are exactly the same, even down to the numbering on the bolt. It's not really focusing. But I found the exact same bolt, same size, same head size, everything. So we have everything we need to get this clutch put back on. I was really not wanting to wait for Exetti to send new bolts out, and I'm very happy that our store had them. Only one store had these bolts, so I went through and I bought every bolt they had. Just in case in the future I strip one or something happens, I always have extra. If I can get a first start, I hate saying the word first start. This thing I started many times. If I can get this car started today, that would be amazing. It's currently Saturday. I really want this car driving this weekend so I can get some content for YouTube, for Instagram, all my social media. I am missing driving this car quite a bit. And just like that, we have the clutch bolted back up to the motor, and this is now ready to drop in. I am going to want an extra hand because my back still hurts and it's just a lot easier having two people. So I'm going to go try to steal Bo if he's not too busy so we can get this motor back in this car and get this thing running once and for all. Kind of hard to tell on camera because the lighting is quite bad. It slid on very easy this time. I do not know if that lube on the input shaft helped at all, but I was pretty much able to slide this right on. The dowels are aligned. It's just now we need to get it completely sucked and flushed to the trans, but that was probably 10-15 minutes from the motor being on the ground. Now almost completely matched up with the trans, so I'm very, very happy. I don't know if it was the lubrication on the input shaft. I know every time I pull this motor and put it back in, it's a 50-50 shot whether it is going to fight me getting it on and lined up, or sometimes it literally just slides right on. So I'm sure if you guys have pulled Subaru motors, or I guess any motors, but especially Subaru motors, I'm sure you guys are on the same page as me, as it is a 50-50 shot essentially if it slides on or if it gives you some troubles. Very happy that it slid right on, giving me a hopeful indicator that this should go smoothly and we should have this up and running in no time. Well, it has been a little bit since I last picked up the camera. I stopped recording so I could just focus on this. Plus, I feel like you guys have seen me pull this motor, assemble it back like a million times now. So I didn't think it was worthwhile showing you guys the entire process again. But here we are. We are pretty much ready to get this thing started. All we have left to do is put the charge pipe in, battery, add fluids, and this thing is ready to start. Everything is plumbed. All the AOS is attached. I did route this line differently, so it now goes under my intake manifold and down over. I think it looks a little bit cleaner. Still lots left to do to tuck this up. Like, that air line is the biggest thing that drives me crazy. That needs to get fixed. But today is not the day for that. I just want to get this car running again. But here we are. We are minutes away from a startup. Every time I put this car together, it still makes me so happy to put it back together, even though it's been together like 10 times at this point. But very satisfying having this car look like a car again instead of just sitting here heartless. And it looks pretty damn good as well. And there we go. The car runs. No leaks so far. Obviously did not really get up to operating temperatures to really see, but it is quite late now and I do not want to disturb the neighbors too much. So unfortunately, that will end off today's video. The next video, we'll be driving this and seeing if the clutch is fixed. I know for a fact the clutch issue is going to be fixed, but we'll find out in the next video when we do a little street hit to see if we can flat foot this car correctly. Not having a pilot bearing most definitely would give us all the issues that we were running into, so I'm very confident that fixed it. The clutch isn't fully bled yet. We are struggling to get that, but obviously it still starts right up. No problem, it still engages enough, but you can still feel its pressure is lost a little bit. So we'll get that correctly bled right before we go out driving this in the next video.